For a long time now feminists have been quoting 1 in 6 women will be raped in their lifetime. This figure is based on a questionable study done in the 80s which many believe to have had a gender bias against men, and therefore is invalid. But let's assume for a minute that this figure was in fact correct. Should it still be quoted today? The answer is no. The statistics show that rapes have been dropping since 1979. In 1979 the United States Justice Department estimated based on a wide range of public surveys that there were 2.8 rapes for every 1,000 people. In 2004 the same survey found that there were 0.4 per 1,000 people. So if rapes are dropping in numbers, then the statistics quoted to us by feminists should reflect this, shouldn't they? Funny enough, the stats quoted by feminists are going in the opposite direction. You still get many quoting the 1 in 6 statistic, but you then get some misquoting it, claiming that the 1 in 6 are only the reported rapes, and the actual number is therefore much higher, clearly missing the point of the original survey that covered both reported and non-reported rapes. By claiming that the 1 in 6 are only the reported rapes, they then, as if by magic, round down the figure to 1 in 4 to include those rapes that are not reported, but were included in the original survey, so are now being included again. Then others soon start quoting 1 in 4. But that's only the reported rapes, so now the number not only is further reduced, but ignores unreported rapes that have been taken into account twice already. But it gets worse. I am now seeing feminists quote 1 in 3 women will be raped in their lifetime. So where does this figure come from? I believe it comes from the 2003 United Nations Women's Development Fund report called Not a Minute More. This report states that 1 in 3 women in the world will be raped, beaten, sexually coerced, trafficked or otherwise abused in her lifetime. Clearly this is a shocking statistic, but it does not state that 1 in 3 women will be raped. It does not cover just sexual assaults but covers physical assaults as well. The only way to get the 1 in 3 women will be raped stat is by including all physical assaults on women as cases of rape, which is nonsense. You also have to take into account that it's a worldwide survey, and that many places worldwide are far more dangerous than the West. Yet it's westernized feminists quoting this statistic claiming it's about the Western society they live in. This is done either by ignorance or outright deception. I would like to think in most cases it's just ignorance, and that feminists are just parroting misquotes they have heard as it suits their ideology. But 1 in 3 women being either sexually or physically abused is proof that women are victimized as a gender, is it not? To know this we need to compare the 1 in 3 stat to the male equivalent stat to see which gender receives more sexual and physical assaults. Yet strangely they do not supply the male equivalent stats to make the comparison. So let's look at some stats from the USA. In 2008 the FBI recorded 90,479 cases of rape for women, and for the same year the Justice Department released the figure of 216,000 victims of rape within prison. Now admittedly this statistic also includes female prisoners, but I think it's safe to assume the majority of the cases would be male victims, considering males make up the majority of prisoners in America. So let's for argument's sake say that the statistics are close, and that's being very generous on my behalf, as I think there is a clear case of there being more male victims. Keep in mind that the FBI stat is for cases of rape, while the Justice Department figure is for rape victims. I think it's safe to say that each victim in prison would have been sexually assaulted more than once. Thus the 216,000 number should be far greater if we were to look at individual cases of rape. But male victims of rape are generally ignored, or even laughed about by most people. What about physical assault? According to statistics compiled by the United States Department of Justice in 2011, men are 3 times more likely to be victims of murder. According to Archer J. 2000, sex differences in aggression between heterosexual partners, women are more likely to commit domestic violence against a partner. According to the National Crime Victimization Survey in 2010, 3.4 males and 2.3 females out of 1,000 are victims of aggravated assault, and 9.7 males and 9.2 females out of 1,000 are victims of simple assault. Violence against females is more likely to be reported 55% than violence against males 42%. U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Statistics, reporting crime to the police, 1992 to 2001 March 2003. So across the board in the West, males are far more likely to be victims of violence, and are also less likely to report it. And males even outnumber females when it comes to sexual assaults and rapes, if you take into account the prison population. But if men are more likely to be the victims of violent crime, murder or rape, then why all the focus on women as victims? Would it not be more appropriate to simply say that all sexual and violent crime is wrong, regardless of the gender of the victim? If feminism is about equality of the genders, then why the special treatment of female victims, while stats of male victims are totally ignored? If its purpose is to help victims of crime, and to stop those crimes, then why focus on gender at all? It makes you think, does it not? It's almost like they are using the victims of sexual and violent crime to spread a gendered biased ideology. It's true that in many places around the world women are victimized. The thing that really pisses me off is the way Western feminists use this to place themselves next to these women and say, look at me, I am a victim too. Instead of helping them, they are using them, and claiming they share their oppression when the evidence says otherwise. Rape is a horrendous crime, but that does not give ideological extremists the right to distort the facts and use it for their own agenda.